What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about Gigantamax and what exactly is going on here. So, I've been talking about Mega Evolution a lot lately on the channel, and kind of trying to explore what exactly it is, and it started getting me thinking about what the other gimmicks are, and specifically I was thinking about Gigantamax forms, because those, do have the Pokemon take on a different form, much like Mega Evolution. And I was looking at some of them, and oddly enough, I don't know if this was relevant or not to the theory, but it was Gigantamax Machamp specifically, where I just thought, it kind of looks like an alien. And obviously Machamp is not an alien Pokemon, but it did get me really thinking about the origins of Gigantamax and Dynamax with that as well. So, of course, what Gigantamax is it is the Pokemon Dynamaxing, but with a twist in that the Pokemon is able to take on a special form that changes its appearance, and it gets access to a G-Max move. Instead of normally it gets a Max move, it now would get a G-Max move. So, for example, Pikachu, you can Dynamax it, or if it has the Gigantamax factor, it can Gigantamax into G-Max Pikachu, which looks a little bit different and has its own exclusive G-Max move instead of just the generic Max move for electric type moves that, say, a Dynamax Pikachu would have. Now, where Dynamax comes from is Eternatus. Specifically, Eternatus kind of came to Galar, and there was like a whole Darkest Day thing, and the point is that Eternatus gives off these this Dynamax energy. These power spots are formed in the Galar region, where it's basically these strong pockets of that Dynamax energy, and that's where in those spaces you're able to Dynamax, or Gigantamax, tried to mix the two there, or able to even find wild Pokemon that are Dynamaxed or Gigantamaxed. Now, the interesting thing about this is you even have to, with your Max Band, or Dynamax Band, rather, you get that from a wishing piece, which is basically a little meteor that came from space. So, no matter what direction you look, everything about the Dynamax phenomenon goes back to space. And well, to go back to what I said earlier, I thought Gigantamax Machamp looked like an alien. Aliens come from space. So, I think there's a connection there, but keep going with me. So, what I'm proposing happens is that Eternatus has this Dynamax energy, and that allows you to Dynamax Pokemon. But for some Pokemon, something special happens with this Dynamax energy. It being exposed to it changes its genetic structure, giving it a Gigantamax factor. And for whatever reason, some Pokemon are able to get this Gigantamax factor, like Pikachu or Snorlax or Toxtricity, but some Pokemon are unable to get this Gigantamax factor, like Raichu can't, or Persian or Berserker can't. So, what I'm thinking is happening is that this is changing their DNA and creating this Gigantamax factor in a similar way to how radiation works. We see a lot of, freaky things from like Chernobyl and stuff, where the nuclear radiation just completely changes the animals there. You think about on Simpsons, where they have near the nuclear plant that lake, and there's like a three-eyed fish there, right? Things like that, just a Pokemonized version of it. And I think what it's changing its DNA into is basically just a more alien DNA. And so when the Pokemon Gigantamaxes, it naturally has, this alien DNA mixed in with its own, so it takes on a more extraterrestrial-looking appearance. And this even kind of checks out with how Eternatus has a very powerful Gigantamax form that even changes its own stats. Well, that's because Eternatus is straight up from space, so it it had that DNA to begin with. Then Pokemon that like Orbeetle that are actually said to be from space, it's able to access this factor. We also see the Pokemon Deoxys. That's an extraterrestrial Pokemon, and it started as a virus that was in a meteor. So, again, I'm proposing that this may be what happened with these Pokemon, is that a virus mixed in with their own DNA, giving them the Gigantamax factor. And now, some people might catch on that, hey, but you can actually make Pokemon have the Gigantamax factor with Max Soup, and that is very, very true. However, this Max Soup is made by finding Max mushrooms, which are mushrooms that appear when you've done a lot of Dynamax raids, implying that these mushrooms come from that Dynamax energy, so again, are giving off that, that radiation that is allowing Pokemon to adopt the Gigantamax factor. Now, another point that we have to address is that there are some Pokemon that actually can have the Gigantamax factor, but cannot Gigantamax. Specifically, we see this in pre-evolutions of Pokemon that can Gigantamax. So, like, for example, Sword and Shield has done raids for a Milcery that is able to evolve into an Alchemy that can Gigantamax. So this means that the Milcery has a Gigantamax factor. We also get from Leon a Charmander that has the Gigantamax factor, and we get from Mustard either a Squirtle or a Bulbasaur. Either way, they have the Gigantamax factor. How is this? Because these Pokemon, when you Dynamax them, they will only Dynamax. They will not Gigantamax. Well, I think that the reason this is because they do have that mutated DNA in them, and just, everything's DNA works a little bit differently. It's there and it's dormant, but when it evolves, it becomes more active. So, Charmander has the DNA for the Gigantamax factor. However, it does not get to awaken that DNA until it evolves into Charizard. Now, this is something similar we see with Mega Evolution because, think about how Lucario is a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, Riolu can't. Well, it's because Riolu hasn't gotten the ability to access those latent ancient DNAs to access to Mega Evolve. It has it in there in Riolu's genetic code. It has to, because Lucario does, and it evolves into Lucario. Ancient DNA doesn't just pop up in the Pokemon. It's always there. It's just latent and becomes more evident in the Pokemon's genetic code. So that is what I'm thinking happens here with the Gigantamax factors for these Pokemon that cannot Gigantamax. Again, I know this is kind of a wild explanation, and it's a weird one, and maybe not even as concrete as my Mega Evolution theory. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and if you have any points that helps build this case, or even if you have some that you think tears it down, drop it in the comments below. Be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, because it's a lot of fun doing these videos, trying to explain these gimmicks in a scientific way, and, explain them better than just, ooh, Pikachu, go big. So yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, this is the channel for you. Until next time, I will see all of you later.